today I'd like to talk about how we can use children's literature to help us as a tool in parenting as we're trying to raise our children to be anti-racist. So if you're a white parent and you live in a community that doesn't have very many black people or people of color, or maybe you just don't have very many people of color in your immediate circle of friends, these kind of conversations about race and justice can feel very distant to our very young children if they don't have any firsthand experience with people of color. So children's literature is a great way to connect them to people that are different than them. So every library should have a representation of, what your child looks like. But also it should have stories about children or people that look different than your child, so that we can help show how all of us are different and the same in many ways. So there are two resources that I like that I will share with you. I'm having trouble linking. I can put the link that you can copy and paste in the description on YouTube, but I will actually put the link in this week's Montessori House newsletter so that you can get to these articles. The socialjusticebooks.org has a guide to selecting anti-biased children's books. So when you're auditing your library, you can look through that guide, and it just helps you look through the books that you already have. Are there a lot of stereotypes? If you have a lot of old Disney books, and things like that, kind of things that came from our generation when we were kids, I think you're going to be surprised at how many, stereotypes are portrayed in that literature, and just a lot of tokenism and just not a lot of diversity. So doesn't mean you have to get rid of every book that you've ever had, but certainly acknowledging it will help you have some dialogue with your children about that, and why is this portrayed this way, and how could we write the story differently? What do you think the author and illustrator were thinking when they did this? Those kinds of conversations, or you might just choose to get rid of them. But I think the more important piece is to be aware of it, so that you can have dialogue around it, and then also to fill in the gaps. If you're noticing, wow, we don't have any children's books that have any black children in it, well, let's make that change. And so we want to start filling in those gaps. So one thing that we can do, I think it's important to have books of different cultures and ethnicities, just of different children from all around the world as the main characters that are just telling a story. A Chair for My Mother is one of my favorites, and but just any books that you can find that you want to read them and show and make sure that they have good content, but you also want to make sure that children of all different races are being represented in your library. I also love the books by Anne Morris. This is called Hats, Hats, Hats. This is Houses and Homes. There's a whole different series, this whole series that she does, and they're photography from all around the world. So it's great at showing, okay, well, we are all different, and yet we're all the same. People's houses and homes are different depending on where you are, what the climate is like, what the culture is like. Same thing with hats. I think there's one that's bread, there's one that's shoes. So it's just really great at showing the diversity, but also how we all have the same human needs, and we all find a way to meet those needs. And then, just some other nonfiction kind of books just showing children from around the world. And I think it's really great if you can find books like this one. This is the Barefoot Books, Children of the World, that are showing children from different cultures, but they're all, it's not like everyone's dressed in the traditional custom outfits that you would find so often when you're looking at multicultural books. It's showing children wearing traditional custom clothing instead of just current day clothing. So I think that paying attention to that is really helpful too. So I think that I will give you a list of some great books if you want to order some. I know I will also have a link to some Black booksellers that you could be purchasing books through right now during this time, and kind of strengthening and diversifying your library at home for your children, and just making sure that there's a variety of skin tones represented. The people are doing a variety of roles, lots of different people of color, like the doers in the books, and also that there is showing different points of views, and that there is diversity within these different groups, because it's true. Like, I think so often the children and media the children are exposed to media that shows all racial groups being one specific type of stereotype, and we really need to break past this and show that every existing group has diversity within it, and that we all have similarities and differences, and that's what makes us human. So I hope that's helpful as you do your book audit. Like I said, I will have those links in the description and also in the newsletter, and hopefully that will help guide you as you audit your library.